Red leather. Ooh, I can hear myself.
Me.
Is there too much echo? You know, we're supposed to talk really close into these.
Like that?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
You hear that?
Yes.
And then, let me lower me, though, because I'm always so loud.
I am NPR Radio, and I'm ready.
Okay. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hey, hey. You know what? Yeah. How about you?
I don't know. I stopped knowing a long time ago.
This is your problem. You start here, and then you're like, and then I went. All right. Oh, look at us.
No, I have to come around.
Oh, you see that?
Yes.
You see how you... You ever watch those mic tests where the guy's like, hey, yeah. And
I'm now 4 feet away from the microphone. 8 feet away from the microphone. I love him.
I know. Oh, he's great. That's
Bandrew?
Yeah, Bandrew. He's great.
I love him.
But also everyone's kind of like, here's the pickup pattern, and now you can't hear him. No, I'm on
Gordon Lane. And now you can't hear him.
You know, one of the things about Gordon Lane that's hilarious is like when he's testing a vlogging camera, he's like, now I'm walking with the, right? And you could see there's tourists and people walking by him. He could give 2 craps.
He's like, I'm Gordon Lane. Mate.
The world is invisible to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm walking with the 18 to 35.
No, he's like, now I'm vlogging with the 70 to 200.
The camera's a mile away. Let's go shoot some seagulls.
Oh, he has that same pure shot. I love it.
The pure shot is like...
You know what, though? I like about that? Consistency.
Yeah, totally. I think it's definitely beneficial. You've seen all his reviews, so you kind of know the pier. Like, we live there.
But his walking vlogging, it always makes me feel awkward. Like, he is... Sometimes those lenses are just too close, you know?
Yes, it's like a floating...
Yeah.
And I love Gordon. But then sometimes he's in the woods.
Yeah.
You know, he's
and
like...
I'm worried for him when he's in the woods.
Yeah.
There's a bear back there, isn't there?
Now there's a bear chasing me.
But that's okay. Listen to...
Look at the stabilization.
I was just say that, yeah. 7 stops of stabilization. This Fuji might save my life.
Yeah. You know what's great is, gosh, he is so matter of fact, even keeled about camera. We need reviewers like that. Mm-hmm. He has no affinity to any brand because he's forever done it.
And at the end of the day, when he's done reviewing, you're like, did he hate it? Did he like it?
Yeah,
he just gave you straight facts, son.
Yeah.
And he showed you everything, and he never... Sometimes he'll say, I like it better than this one, but that doesn't mean it's a bad camera.
Yeah, the stuff he says is great for a review, but you're right. You hit it on the head there. You don't know how he feels because for him, it's not about him.
Mm-mm. He's like, I'm presenting you with the Fox.
I'm sorry, what? The Fox?
The Fox. And
your British is terrible, man.
Terrific.
Yeah. You have to be like, hi, I'm Gordon Lane. You just have to let it flow.
No, because then we have to wipe it all up later. What?
I wonder if like Brits do American accents.
All the time.
You know what? Actually, I saw a video where they walked around in London and asked people, hey, talk like an American. And you know the 2 accents they did?
John Wayne?
No. The first one was like rapper. Like, yo, yo, yo.
Oh, my goodness.
So it was like, we don't talk
right,
like
that. Yes, they do.
And the other one was like a Valley girl.
Best American accent.
Oh, my God. That is so fetch.
That was good.
Yo, man, I got some new kicks at Size if you want to come down and try on some new shoes.
Oh, first, let's give a moment to the Queen.
Oh, yeah.
This is a moment for the Queen.
I know. We were just talking about Gordon Lane and
we're making jokes and stuff, but honestly, I think all my life, it's all I ever known, right? A queen.
I know.
And, Prince Charles has been sitting there waiting and stuff, but now it's his time to shine.
Yeah, and she obviously was graceful and...
comedic.
Yeah.
In a very graceful, elegant way. There's so many times I would see her do things, and I knew she wasn't being pompous. It's just who she is.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious. Like one time, she had to cut a cake, and she put the little dent into the cake, and she goes, "Oh, okay, someone else take over now." And I'm like, that's so queen-like.
Yeah, that's so queen. If you're the queen, you can get away with that.
That's it. What else you want?
No one's gonna judge you for that if you're queen.
So a moment to the Queen. Be good.
All right, so in this episode, we are going to talk a little bit about the Fuji X-Summit, which I had the privilege to attend. We'll talk cameras a little bit. Mo is going to talk about updating the Sony a7 IV. It needs updates already, huh?
It's only been out for almost a year.
And we're going to talk a little bit about aperture, which is an important aspect of the exposure triangle.
Oh, very true.
Cool. So should I start?
Yes, please. So, Omar, recently you were invited to take part in a Fuji event. Care to share?
Yeah, first of all, I don't know why I was invited. I mean, we're part of the media. I'm considered media now as far as getting the word out. But what's strange is I went to the event, which was held in this little theater, and I was expecting like Apple event where someone comes out live, like we're watching it live. But what we did was we watched what people at home watched. We were all watching a screen of a pre-recorded Fujifilm,
So why were you needed?
So I looked around me, and the real media, which were bloggers and vloggers and all that, they had laptops and were clicking away like crazy, like live sort of
Updates?
Yeah, live
Pushed out?
updates, which is weird because Fujifilm already told people last time what they were going to release soon. They already mentioned the 40 megapixel camera, the XH2. So they spoiled it already from the other summit.
Right.
And also the rumor sites have every single thing out. I don't know who's spilling these rumors,
But they're very accurate.
oh, totally.
And people are breaking some kind of NDA somewhere and just
Absolutely.
spilling the guts.
they really need to
Prosecute. Take
I was
them
going
out
to
back
say,
and shoot them.
like what they do in the mafias, they put out fake info to see,
Gotcha.
different info to each person.
Gotcha. Yeah, the new cameras will be orange. All right, take down Omar.
Yeah. So after our media, the other thing that was strange was we met before the summit. So we actually had a meeting with the Fujifilm people on Zoom, and they told us everything that was going to be released. So that was our NDA. And by the way, I don't know why they tell us everything. I guess the people need to type up the articles because they
Right.
come out right at the embargo. There's no time to type everything up. And they give you photos, and so the vloggers can have the pictures out. But what's sad is after those meetings, that's when the rumors get updated. So someone from the media, obviously, that gets this stuff from the NDA, like spills the guts. Now, people love it. They love the rumor sites. I like to look up rumors and stuff. But from being on the other side, I feel sad that
Right.
there's no surprise.
Right, because we look forward to that. Like I think the fact that camera companies, cell phone companies, and every kind of company now is leaking their own data.
Oh, yeah, they do it themselves.
Oh, Google's famous for that, right?
Yeah, I've seen that.
They'll leak their own data, and I'm pretty sure other companies are leaking their own data, just calling it a leak. I think they're just putting it out there because they're tired of people stealing their own thunder, right?
Wow.
So I think they've gotten to 2022. The world is spill your own beans.
Yeah.
And make it look like someone else is dropping it,
Yeah, so-
Purposely telling credited leakers information so that they can leak and people can either give you positive or negative feedback right off the bat.
That's a good point. So you have like a little bit of time to feel out.
It's like movies that release early so people can judge the ending, and then you could go back and edit the ending if there's a really big, like, oh, that was horrible.
Oh, good point. Good point.
It's possible.
Yeah, that's what happened with the Sixth Sense, I believe. No.
No. There was a lot of movies that's happened with. So besides you, who else was there that people may know?
Well, they had media from like F-Stoppers and The Verge, and but then there were other YouTubers. So there were YouTubers like Manny Ortiz and Taylor Jackson, and Pal2Tech was there, along with Taco, Big Head Taco.
Big Head Taco.
He does a lot of Fujifilm stuff. But a lot of those guys actually work closely with Fujifilm. Like Big Head Taco sort of has a relationship with Fujifilm, so he gets cameras and things. So I feel like some of the people are sleeping with Fujifilm, and some of them are just like Manny and I. We review all kinds of cameras.
I think though, because they know you cut your teeth with them.
Yeah.
So they probably figure, let's throw him a bone after all these years. It's about time. Now that you're not full-time Fuji, they decided to throw you a bone, which was odd.
Yeah. I felt a little strange being there. You know what the strangest thing was, man? And you're the only one that I can tell this to.
Tell me.
Oh, they're still here.
It's between us.
What I find funny is people assume that you, the physical person, Omar Gonzalez, that's in that room, is exactly what's on screen. And you know me as a person. I'm kind of like how I am now. I'm just regular. I'm reserved. I'm not like Jim Carrey when I walk around.
Make me laugh, boy.
Exactly. Dance, monkey, dance. You know what I mean? And so what was happening was there was like a little reception after the X-Summit where they were like giving sodas out and stuff. And they had XH cameras laying out where you can try them. And I'm being super, like professional, and I'm sort of thinking about what I want to tell my audience about the camera. And someone comes up and they put a camera live on my face, and we have Omar Gonzalez here. They're streaming live now. So what do I do?
No pressure. You dance for them. You dance like the monkey you are.
I dance like a little monkey.
That's the problem with anything in life. People do that to you in weddings. Like they think, oh, Omar's funny. Make us laugh.
Oh yeah, make us laugh. Yeah, they put a camera on you.
But it's worse though when you have a YouTube personality and you're just trying to be chill and relax, and they want you to turn it on for them.
I know, and it's also lazy creating by the creator. I hate to call anyone out, but it's kind of like maybe we can collab before you throw a camera in my face.
No, I'm going to get views because I'm going to mention Omar in the title or something like that. You know what? It happens. But you know what? I'm sure you powered through it. And
I
you made
powered
a great
through
job.
it. But yeah, I did. But I was kind of like outside of myself. Like the professional Omar pulled out and was like looking at the clown. You know what I'm saying?
What I have to do for these people.
Exactly. What I have to do. So I think that's funny that people, just assume that you're the personality you are on camera.
Right. It's different if you're going to record something to put up on Instagram later on.
Yeah, but if you're live.
But if you go live, what if you happen to fart at that moment, What if you're in the middle of like looking at that and you're trying to sneak one out and they're like, and I got Omar here.
Oh my gosh.
It's gonna be horrible.
Yeah. So I like you said, I made out okay. But the summit was cool. My only complaint was they spread things out a little too much. The way they did it was they opened up a cool little Friday morning. I couldn't make it though. They opened up a Friday morning where you could try the cameras and maybe you could film a video about it. But I was unavailable, so I never got.
Did they frown on you because of that?
They what?
Did they frown on you because of that?
No. Super cool. The Fujifilm media people, they took us out to dinner the night before, which was great. And all of them were super nice. So no complaints there. But we can't review the camera or even give it a first look. We were there just to touch it for a little bit. And then,
which is odd.
Yeah.
Which is odd. But I guess, you know what? Any press is good press, right?
Yeah. And their setup was weird because they put all the cameras on a bar. And think about a bar when you drink, it's in a corner as opposed to the Apple event where there's a long table where people can walk around. You see people across the table. No, so we kind of all were
gathered in a little lump.
Yeah,
and
you can't
all
film
touch it, but you can't because
you can't film.
You got voices over voices.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah, I can imagine. So that's what I thought was odd that when I saw Manny was there, I'm like, I would never associate Manny with Fuji.
No, and he even said he kind of was like he's invited to a lot of things, and he's starting to take more things so that he can get out there a little bit more out of his comfort zone.
That's a good move.
And that's why I agreed to go too, because I wanted to stay home.
Now, was that the same night as your meetup, or is that a different night?
Same night, and that's why I did the meetup. Yeah, so I did a little meetup at B&H Photo, which was cool. What's funny about you ever been on a photo walk?
No, not with like B&H and people like that. No.
Yeah. So a photo, we did it a while back. The Hoboken photo club.
I've done photo walks like that where it's just a group of people from like an Facebook group, or people we know. We get together. Those kind of photo walks. But I've never done a professional photo walk.
Yeah. So what I said at the photo walk was what I was always feeling about all photo walks is you don't really do great photography on a photo walk. What it's more about is being with people with the same hobby. And it doesn't matter what the hobby is. Once you start talking shop, you can go on forever because everyone's the same level of like enthusiasm.
Right,
if you came out for that, You know, for that walk, you can talk photography.
When I saw you post that, hey, come join me, I was like, oh, I wish I wasn't working in Parsippany that day.
I would have loved to have you.
I would have definitely have been there, but I had to go into the office physically that day. So I was like, oh, well.
Yeah.
And then I saw Manny Ortiz was there, and I have a Manny Ortiz crush because of his beard.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, I wish I was there.
He's a cool guy. Yeah, he's a little like me sometimes, though, a little fish out of water. Like, we don't love social situations. We're more comfortable being alone. And that's why I brought up the thing about putting a camera in my face is a lot of times the people who are comedic or the comedian, when it's off, like when they turn off the clown act, a lot of times they're reserved and quiet. You know, you can't be like that all the time.
No, you can't just jumpstart it. You know, that's what they want you to do. Jumpstart it now, boy. Make it happen.
So anyway, the Fujifilm Summit was a great event in the fact that it got a lot of hype and photographers around the great the camera is great. It's a 40 megapixel. Actually, I shouldn't say it's great because I haven't tried it. But for the little that I held it, I think Fujifilm's in play now for like event photography. You know, great autofocus, and that sensor, that 40 megapixel APS-C sensor.
I was just like, it baffles my mind, something that big and something that small.
Yeah, it's like packing all those megapixels, but the prints they had up, they had the Fujifilm flavor, and they were crispy. It was like GFX-ish.
That's what I was thinking. Like, it's like a micro GFX.
Yeah.
And that's like, you know, maybe that's the way to go if that's what you're looking for, because that should give you more light, right? That should technically allow you to have a better low light capability.
I was thinking the opposite. I was thinking that it would be worse in low light. It having too many megapixels.
This is true.
Yeah,
right.
you know, you're
gonna get the little hazing and the shadow and the little breakup. Yeah, you're right.
Usually, like, that's why the Sony A7S III, that video camera, being
It's
12.
Yeah,
12.
2 megapixels on the A7S III.
So to wrap up the Fujifilm Summit, I was very excited to go. I felt like I was part of something. I only wish that everything was all in one event because it was like Wednesday, then Thursday, then Friday, and then Saturday was an actual Fujifilm like summit for fans.
Gotcha.
You know, so it was like they made it a 4-day fest, but sometimes we can't invest that much time. I was, you know, actually shooting a professional gig, so I couldn't go. So the cameras look exciting.
So you think that they're still in the mindset of pre-COVID as far as events go? Because it was easier.
Totally,
it was easier
pre-COVID.
to get to events pre-COVID. Now you gotta, like, you know, try to compact everything at once so there's less exposure, less having to go out.
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? So I think they might have spread everything out, thinking like the old days. You know, people can just take off work and come in, do this, that, and the other. When in reality, I think in 2022. You really can't have a layered event.
Yeah.
I mean, even the photo post wouldn't work because of these new environments that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. And it's funny you mentioned COVID because I went to my seat to sit down and the woman next to me had a mask. So I felt kind of like, So no one really had masks on, but if I'm like, is that seat taken?
Come on in.
Yeah. So I put my mask on for her. But yeah, it's definitely, people are trying to definitely be pre-COVID. I was going to say one more thing about the Fujifilm cameras that I found a little strange is the release of two very similar cameras, but you kind of want what's in both. You know, like do you need 8K? Or do you want the one that shoots like the 3.2 Snyder aspect?
Gotcha,
you know,
gotcha.
Is it Snyder or is it the other director?
I don't know.
The Snyder cut is the good one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So he did
they're definitely the better cut. So I wanted to talk about those who have the A7 IV, the Sony A7 IV, you had a Mac, your life was horrific for life because updating your A7 IV, you needed to connect your camera to the computer via the provided USB-C cable. Mac was a nightmare. You had to go into your settings, turn off the security profile or stuff like that, then plug it back in, then do it, and then reboot it, and then do the same thing in reverse to get back to normal. Finally, Sony said, you know what? We're not going to mess with Mac anymore. Just download the update to your SD card and do it like other people do it. You know, so I think that it just works out better. So if you have an A7 IV, you need to go out there and download the update to your SD card and then put it in your camera, and you could upgrade like some other manufacturers.
That sounds
do.
like every camera brand.
Yeah, I just
what did they do before? It was
don't
like
know.
using the software.
I think the A7S3, I was able to do both.
You mean the
Cable-
A7 III? You never had the S3.
No, I didn't.
I was gonna say, when did you buy that?
Yes, just a few minutes ago for the 2 megapixels. But yeah, no. So just if you're looking to update your A7 IV, sorry, you can do it now through your SD card if you have a Mac. If you had the PC, your life was always wonderful, so you didn't have to worry about it. But people like myself with a Mac, it was a nightmare. So that I just wanted to put that out there and make sure, because they released 2 updates back to back, right? They released 1.5 and they realized they wanted to update something after that, so they released 1.10. You have to download 1.5 first.
Oh, that's weird.
Because you can't go from 1.1 to 1.
That sounds like a Windows thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's weird.
So it's weird. So you have to make sure you go from 1.01 to 1.05 to then 1.1.
Did you actually get anything good out of these updates?
Yes.
Oh, all right. I was gonna say, like, you're killing yourself for what? Is
So-
it new film simulations?
So now Sony completely dominates Fuji.
Oh.
Because we had the one thing that Fuji had for 3,000 years that Sony didn't have, where you could just touch the back of your screen and it would actually take the picture.
Cool. That's a super stealthy street photography.
Yeah, so it's
technique.
something like everyone's always had except Sony. So now it's great that Sony puts it onto this.
So
camera.
it will actually focus and then shoot a photograph right after in silent mode.
Right. Well, I don't know if in silent
No,
mode.
I mean, but you could put electronic shutter on, and
I haven't tried it with the electronic mode, but I'm sure it would work. Why wouldn't it?
yeah, guys, if your camera does this, which, you know, if you have a Fujifilm or now the new Sony A7 IV, a cool technique on the street is to actually pretend you're just, you know, touching the screen and the menu, and you're actually taking pictures of people.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, yeah. Because a dead giveaway that you're taking pictures is shooting the shutter, yeah. But
He shot his shot.
yeah. So that's cool. You know, a lot of companies use the app to update.
I think that's the best way to update. I think.
You think so?
I think.
Oh, actually, yeah. If it's hooked up, if you have a good app.
Right. Well, even a bad app that does that part right. So if the whole app is garbage, but it lets you update your software smoothly,
Yeah.
that's the one thing I enjoyed about the Fuji app. I was able to update all my Fuji cameras
Through the app,
the
yeah.
app real simply, and I think Nikon does that too.
Yeah, Nikon does it too, and they do it pretty well. They have a good app. Nikon's SnapBridge app I like.
Yes, it was garbage back in the A7, the D7000 days, and then it got a little better for the D800, and it's been improving on and on. Obviously I don't have any of the mirrorless ones, so I'll take your word for it
It's
that
great.
it's come a long way.
It's
but-
great on vacation that you can just have your phone in your pocket, and the Bluetooth is sending all the photos. And then when you finally sit down at the coffee shop, you can kind of...
I turned that feature on for the Sony finally, where you could just like once you're done shooting, it just sends everything to the app.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
It's great. It's great for travel because that's the one type of photography I do that isn't high burst. You know, most of the portraits, and I'm always trying to grab expressions and stuff. But when you're walking around and you see something, boop, it goes to the phone.
The only problem I have is with the Sony, it does the JPEGs, and I think it limits it to like 2 megabytes.
Yeah,
Which I think
Fujifilm does too, but if you dive into a menu, I don't know if Sony has the same menu. If you dive into the menu, you can actually tell it to give a full JPEG, and then you get the full, you know. And then if not, if you're at the coffee shop, you can get RAWs to your phone if you want to, you know, edit them with Lightroom or SnapBridge or Snapseed or something.
Snapseed. Ooh, I love Snapseed.
I haven't used that in a long time.
I still use it. It's the best.
Oh, yeah?
It gets better and better. It's still the best.
I got to...
For those who don't know, there's an app out there called Snapseed. It's on iOS as well as Android, and it's a free editing
How are they
software.
free still?
Because it's Google, and I'm sure Google is taking some of that information for their own personal use.
Yeah, right.
Like, no,
they
go ahead,
own your photo.
Go ahead, use that. Go
Yeah.
ahead, it's all yours. No, go ahead. We're just gonna be right over here, sipping our coffee.
Cool. Do you want to talk R5, the last video I did, or you want to go to Aperture?
Let's go to the R5. So, for those who follow Omar, which should be all of you,
No.
you should all follow him.
I'm a clown.
Go follow him.
I'm a monkey.
So, Omar recently did a really compelling
Recently,
video.
yesterday. No, this morning.
Yeah, it actually aired today when we're filming. So who knows when you see this though? so when he had a compelling video discussing the goods and the few drawbacks that he found with the the R5, whether or not it was a deal breaker or a keeper. So I won't ruin the video, but I'll ask Omar, what's next then? But I didn't ruin the video at all.
Well, I had fun testing it, but as far as owning it, I think I would be really. Just for me personally, I felt like I'd be disappointed if I had to own the camera because it was just so much work to get what I wanted from it. And you know what's weird is the reason I was using another or trying other systems like Sony and Canon was for this fully super idiot-proof autofocus, the eye autofocus, and really the focus. So everything else to me was secondary. So same with the Sony A7 III and same with the Canon R5. Autofocus is the best, but image quality to me, I realize is more important. So I was killing myself with those R5 files skin-wise. Someone made a comment which was great. It's like, hey, the camera works for them because they're probably doing like wildlife and I thought it worked well for that. I thought the greens and the browns of like the
makes them pop when it needed. But when you want to get the better skin tone, that was a problem.
Yeah, and skin tones are so nuanced that, you know, when we say skin tone, you could be very light, could be dark, you know. And I think the Nikon was dealing with all skin tones perfectly. Like my second shooter has like some of the darkest skin I've ever seen, chocolate, like beautiful skin. And then some of my clients that I've shot are like white as walls, great skin tones. You know what I mean? So I saw both ranges. Where just with the standard picture profile. Now, you can get good colors out of the R5, don't get me wrong. It's just so much more work.
Right. So what you're looking for, that's what's important here.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for is not what's being output naturally.
Yeah, and luckily, I could see by the comments that most people got that from the video. There was no one like, stop bashing your... Although one guy was like, this is clickbait.
Why was it clickbait?
I know, it said it again.
It exactly said, this is the drawback.
It's so stupid. Oh, my God.
People are just haters are going to hate, son.
Yeah, for sure. But even people who own the R5 were super nice about it. And I've been trying to reply. These are the types of videos where I try to reply to people who have good opinions and who... some of the comments I don't reply to are just, like you say, like fanboys who are trying to get a rise. A lot of times I could tell those people are looking for that, so I just hide them from the channel. And then, yeah, the other thing is if people make it about something that like random or whatever, just don't even comment. But I've been talking to people on there, and there seems to be a lot of people that the R5 colors were weird. How are you finding the Sony A7 IV colors? Because I have heard that they're a step up from the A7 III.
So drastic. So
Really?
It's like night and day almost between the A7 III with that weird green that you would the weird color. You could definitely instantly see the difference. You can't
pinpoint it.
Right.
Like, yeah.
I was thinking, like, is it greenish?
Yeah, you're like, no, it's red. Is it too magenta?
You know what it is? It's the A7 III gave you its own take on colors. Right.
Yeah.
And even if you white balanced it and compared it to another picture
You're
that
like,
you
damn,
white balanced
what's
from
going on?
another camera,
Yeah.
you're like, it's not the same.
What I found though with the A7 III is when you got it right, the colors were great. That's the same with the R5.
And I find with the A7 IV, you get that feeling more naturally.
Do you use Adobe standard profiles?
I don't make any adjustments to any of my profiles. I work with the image within the output. So I import it and it's set up to the standard Lightroom setup.
Adobe's standard.
Right.
Got it.
So, and then that's what I use. I do not touch anything.
Got
and
it.
from that point, I then begin adding what I think I like.
Got it. That's good because the Adobe profiles are flat on purpose. They don't have a lot of color and they don't have a lot of contrast. And I think that's the first thing that people don't like about Adobe is that they say that the raw files are like, they're not processed so great. And yeah, there's better processors, but I'm going to stick with Lightroom because it just works for my cataloging, my editing. I use automated editors now, like artificial intelligence. They use Lightroom catalogs. They're not using Capture One. They're not using...
So I agree with that. I think that's the best part of Adobe is its ability to multitask at once, the ability to process 1,000 at one time. I appreciate the standard profile. It's as bland and boring as it is because it's not you're not presenting that photo usually.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're shooting raw, the image that comes into Lightroom, 9.9 out of 10 out of times, you do not present that photo. You normally add your own flavor to it anyway.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, brother.
Oh my God.
If you go through your old photos, go to your old Nikon photos. Do me a favor. Pick ones with like color, right? Like yellows and reds. Reds especially, maybe skin. Flatten out the image, maybe making a virtual copy. Reset it, and pick camera matching as your color profile. You know, at the top you can pick Adobe Standard, Adobe Color. There's a little square, little box next to that. Hit that box, scroll down, hit Camera Standard. The colors for the skin just are alive. Hit Camera Portrait. They work. Like the Nikon profiles on Adobe work. I tried that with the Canon R5. I hit Camera Standard. I was like, red, like crazy red, magenta.
Wow.
And I'd have to start working with white balance to try to kill the red. Now I'm fighting and pulling and grabbing. You know what I'm saying?
And the camera's been around long enough that the profile should have been updated, right?
Yeah. So what happened when the camera first came out? It's funny you say that. The camera first came out, there were no profiles and people were freaking out. They were like, I could read the old comments from 2020, 2021. And then everyone's like, what do I do? And people are like, buy the color checker passport, make your own profiles. And people are like, the JPEGs look better. So Adobe finally released Canon profiles. And everyone was like, rejoice, rejoice. And
Until
then
they saw it.
Yeah. So
Run away, run away.
So I think to make a long story short here, I was trying to look for the savior of something that has the colors, and I already had it. The Z6 II has become my main portrait camera. I was just afraid to use it on events. I think I'm an anxious person, but I've come to terms with that I have more skill in, like, yeah, there's going to be limits to the camera, but heck, I can probably manual focus that camera if I needed to.
My goodness.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
I'm confident enough that if emergency situation, I could go to F11. You know what I'm saying? I could zone focus and I could fire my flash if I need to get a shot.
Gotcha.
You understand?
Gotcha.
And so I had to like come to terms with myself and stop blaming the camera because Nikon is not the best in low light event photography, stressful situations. And so my drum roll. My second camera is actually going to be great for cityscapes. Can you guess what it is?
It's a Fuji. No.
It's the XH. No.
Why are we laughing that hard?
I know. The fanboys are like staring at the screen.
Why are they laughing?
No.
Unlike
Inside joke. What do you think?
If it's going to be good for landscapes.
No, good for cityscapes and landscapes.
So you're going to go to a DSLR.
So what do you guess?
Huh?
What are you guessing?
I don't know. You're going to go to the Canon Mark 5.
No, I just told you the point. I was going Sony and Canon for autofocus, but it didn't make sense to be a different system.
So you're going to stay in the Nikon world?
Yes.
And you're going to go with the D700. Is that too far back? Too soon?
No, the answer is the
DD7.
Z7 II. Yeah.
Right, because you loved the way that gave you those landscape photos and the cityscape photos that you could actually look in people's windows without doing the GF X100.
Yeah. And it's high megapixel without being ridiculous megapixel. You know, it's not 60 or 100.
Right.
So 45, great for cityscapes. And you probably know this because you were a Nikon shooter. You can shoot, which the other camera companies don't do, medium raw. And a medium raw is not 8,000 it's 5.
Sony just did an update for that.
You sure?
Sony has a compressed raw.
No, that's different.
I know what you're talking about where it has the L, the M for raws, where you go from 28 by 3400 to 14.
It's actually a smaller,
right.
that
it
way
crops into its own sensor.
Yeah, because the Canon I was shooting C raw, which is compressed raw, which the file size went down to the 20s,
right?
Which is crazy.
It's delicious.
I know it's perfect for the hard drive, but you know what? The picture's still 8,000 by. It's way too many pixels, So when I send it to the clients, everything's like 5. You have to send everything shrinky. Anyway, Z7 II.
So you're gonna stay full Nikon
Z.
That's tough.
Yeah.
But you know what? You're right, and you said it yourself. You know, I don't think you were blaming the camera. You were just realizing its faults and then not understanding that you know how to adapt to it.
Or I better learn.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think you've learned, you've adapted to it, and you're going to make it work now. I think it's a brave choice. I would have brought back a Sony, but you know what? To keep it into one system, it's a great idea. And you're going to love still using the second camera. Your second camera is a powerful first camera for a lot of people.
Isn't that amazing? And it's like it makes so much sense now. I always wanted something like the GFX 50, where if I go and I'm shooting sunrise, you could see all the buildings and the wires and stuff. But this makes perfect sense.
It makes beautiful sense because here I am as a non-professional now, right? Like I do take work here and there, but I wouldn't call myself a professional anymore. But I was just looking at the A7R4 for its megapixels.
60, right?
Because I wanted to. I've been doing cityscapes correctly, right? In the past, I would not use my tripod. I would just take a picture and it would look good.
No, now long exposure.
But now things look sharp. Things look crispy. And this is on an A7 IV. So I started thinking to myself,
no, don't do it.
I'm not going to.
Oh, good.
Because I don't have a need for it or pocket for it either. But I started talking to myself like, you know what? If I would have gotten the A7R4, it would have been perfect for birding. It would have been perfect for
perfect for birding for sure. Right. More than cityscapes.
Right. Especially with the 200 to 600. Oh, I would have just
you would have killed it. Yeah.
Birds, I could see what they're thinking. You know, you could crop in and not even worry about it. But anyway, so I completely understand why going with the A7 II, the C7 II.
Z7 II, but not so much for the megapixel. That turned out to just be bonus. The main bonuses are that it can shoot medium. That means I could actually shoot 2 cameras at an event, which I never do. And the other one is it's the same colors at the Z. I don't have to. I could hit the same.
No blending, no stressing, no mixing.
Color checker passport. No,
not going to Home Depot and mixing that paint color.
It brings me back to the day where you could just white balance and be happy because you knew how to just edit your files. I feel like cameras have gotten so good at the technology in them, but they have forgotten what's important.
Right.
Image quality.
And I think the fact that you just nailed it on the head, you're going to be working the same menus. You can set up the camera bodies exactly.
Oh my God, they're so the same.
It's just going to be 3,000 less things to think about at an event.
Thank you for saying it. And I feel almost stupid that for that last 3 or 4 years, I was using 2 systems, Canon, Sony, and now Nikon, Sony. And then I was about to go Nikon Z, Canon R. We're going to be the 2.
Right. But you know what? In life, you grow. And if you're able to learn as you go, you're making yourself a better person.
Oh, thank you.
So
That's
you
nice.
just did that. You weren't too pig-headed to admit, hey, you know what? This is exactly what I need. And this is what I'll figure out how to make it work.
Yeah. And part of my excuse was that I'm on YouTube. It's good to have the different systems to learn about them, try them, and all that stuff. So,
well, you still have the A7C.
I know. I actually do have a Sony. This camera was great, though.
It's a great little camera. I loved it. But when I started taking work again, I needed to get that second memory card.
It don't matter what camera you have.
If you know how to use it, you know how to use it. If
you
know.
However, there are limits, I'm going to say, because I've been on Facebook groups where someone's like, someone is sarcastically, they put up pictures of a Fujifilm like birding with Fujifilm, like beautiful bird photos, the best you've ever seen. And their comment is, oh, the Fujifilm autofocus stinks. And then you get about 100 comments of people saying the skill is in the photographer, and those are all the valid points, but there's a limit to that Fujifilm autofocus.
It is.
That guy has figured out how to focus on the branch. He could just use single focus and wait for a bird.
Exactly. Right. He's not telling you all that. He's just telling you, look at how sharp that isn't.
Right?
Wink, wink, wink.
I mean, and there are birds in flight, but you don't know if he took 1,000 photos and that's the one.
Right. Who's that guy? Mark Smith? Oh.
Yeah, Mark Smith.
So Mark Smith posted something the other day where he said, my one perfect shot. Then he has like a it looks like a garbage can and like paper overflowing. He goes, all my missed shots.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm like, perfect. When someone like him says something like that, it's perfect.
So there's people who use evidence like that because I know I have brought out people, the Fujifilm X-T2 and the Fujifilm X-T3 at mitzvahs. And you've been to mitzvahs, right? And I'm trying to go through the crowd, and the camera's like,
why am I here? Why am I even here?
The 16 to 1.4, which is letting in a lot of light. It's like,
which is why I respect people like Branch.
Yeah, John Branch.
Like that, he can make those cameras work better than I could work my Sony. So
totally. So
you know.
you can make them work, like John Branch using his Fujifilms at weddings, but he knows the limits, and he'll tell you. And Reggie too.
Ballestero?
Yeah. He has said that he just uses like either zone focusing, or they use a technique to get the shot.
Right.
And I think people who aren't pros, they just like want to say Fujifilm autofocus is good enough if you're good. You know, yeah, you have to be good, but you also have to know the limits.
Right.
You can't use the autofocus in certain situations.
You have to either zone focus or you're gonna have to area focus. You just can't.
Or even manual.
Which is a live event. Manual,
which is zone focusing.
It's horrible. All right. So you know what? Let me just say thank you so much for watching us today. And until the next time, Omar, it's been great. Give me a high
this
five.
was fun. Yeah, we weren't as funny this time.
We're not trying to be funny all the time.
Yeah,
What are
this
we,
was a
your
serious
puppets?
show. I mean, yeah, what are we, clowns or monkeys?
Yeah, make me laugh.
All right, guys.
Peace.
We'll see you next time. Oh, sorry.
What you gonna do, brother? Macho Man Randy Savage, yeah. Oh, that's just refreshing. The air is back on, and I could just feel myself melting into the happy world.
Your freaking cologne is killing my damn office.
I have no cologne on.
You have products of some kind.
I have a
Maybe it's your
slight-
stupid beard oil.
I have slight beard product in.
Ugh, smells like a barber.
He is so delicate. He is a little flower.